I saw it on LinkedIn. By the end of the week, I had filed a civil claim for $280,000. My daughter, Dr. Rachel Bennett, had just been featured in the American Medical Journal's 30 Under 40 list. The headline read, "From Dream to Reality: How One Young Doctor Built Her Practice Against All Odds." There was a photo of her in her white coat, standing in front of her private cardiology practice in downtown Seattle, flanked by her husband Marcus and his parents, the Ashfords. I stared at the screen of my laptop in my small apartment in Tacoma, reading every word of that interview. She talked about her journey, her struggles, her determination. She thanked her mentors at Johns Hopkins. She thanked the Ashfords for their unwavering support and belief in her vision. She thanked Marcus for being her rock. My name appeared nowhere. Not once. The quote that did it, the one that made me close the laptop and sit in the silence of my apartment for 3 hours, was this: "I'm forever grateful to those who never doubted me, who gave me the foundation to succeed, and who showed me what true family support looks like." I read it 5 times. Each time, it felt like a knife going deeper. Because I knew exactly what foundation she was talking about, and I knew who had given it to her. Let me take you back 28 years. Rachel was 7 when her mother, my wife Claire, died from ovarian cancer. I was 35, working as an electrician for a commercial contractor in Tacoma. We had a modest house, a small savings account, and a mountain of medical bills that insurance barely touched. After Claire passed, it was just Rachel and me. I sold the house because I couldn't afford the mortgage on my own. We moved into a 2-bedroom apartment in a complex near the industrial district. The walls were thin. You could hear the couple next door arguing every Saturday night, but it was what I could afford. Rachel took her mother's death hard. She stopped talking for almost 3 months. The school counselor said she needed stability, routine, love. I gave her everything I had. I worked the day shift at the contractor, then picked up side jobs in the evenings and weekends. Residential rewiring, panel upgrades, generator installations, whatever people needed. I learned to cook by watching library videos. I learned to braid hair by watching YouTube tutorials on the desktop computer at the public library. Every morning I packed her lunch. Every night I helped with homework. Every parent-teacher conference, every school play, every soccer game, I was there. The other parents, mostly married couples in their SUVs, they'd glance at me in my work boots and faded jeans, tools still hanging from my belt because I'd rushed straight from a job site. Some would smile politely. Most didn't. Rachel was bright, exceptionally bright. By middle school, her teachers were using words like gifted and exceptional potential. Her 8th grade science teacher, Mrs. Patterson, pulled me aside after a parent night. "Mr. Bennett," she said, "Rachel has a real aptitude for biology. Have you thought about her future? College?" I had thought about it. Every single day. I'd been putting away $50 a month into a college savings account since Claire died. By that point, I had maybe $7,000 saved. "I'm working on it," I told her. "She could be a doctor," Mrs. Patterson said. "She's that good." A doctor. My daughter. The daughter of an electrician who barely graduated high school himself. I worked harder. High school came. Rachel joined the pre-med track. She needed tutoring for the advanced classes. That was $150 a month. She needed to take the SAT prep course. That was $800. She needed to do volunteer work at the hospital, which meant she couldn't get a part-time job, which meant I needed to cover her expenses. I picked up a 3rd job, weekend maintenance work at an office complex. I'd finish my Saturday evening residential calls around 8, then drive to the complex and mop floors, change light bulbs, fix broken bathroom fixtures until 2 in the morning. I was 50 years old, sleeping 4 hours a night, living on coffee and whatever I could microwave in 3 minutes. Rachel got into the University of Washington for undergrad. Full tuition was about $12,000 a year, plus room and board. My savings covered the first year. After that, I took out Parent Plus loans. I signed my name on those documents, knowing I'd be paying them back until I was 70. She called me every Sunday during freshman year. By sophomore year, it was every other Sunday. By junior year, once a month, maybe. "I'm just so busy, Dad," she'd say. "Organic chemistry is killing me. I barely have time to sleep." "I understand," I'd say. And I did. Or at least, I tried to. She graduated summa cum laude. I was there in the audience, in my only suit, the same one I'd worn to Claire's funeral. I watched her walk across that stage and I cried. Not subtle tears, full, shoulder-shaking sobs. The woman sitting next to me offered me a tissue. Then came medical school. Johns Hopkins. One of the best in the country. Also one of the most expensive. Tuition was $60,000 a year. 4 years, plus living expenses in Baltimore. I sat at my kitchen table the night she got the acceptance letter, looking at the numbers. My calculator, the same one I'd used for 20 years, sat next to a pile of financial aid documents. Even with her scholarships and grants, we were looking at a gap of about $40,000 a year. I was 54 years old. I had arthritis in my hands. My knees ached when I climbed ladders. I had maybe 15 good working years left before my body gave out. I called the bank the next morning. The loan officer, a young guy who looked like he was 12, reviewed my application. "Mr. Bennett," he said, trying to be kind, "your debt-to-income ratio is pretty high, and these are unsecured loans. The interest rate is going to be steep." "I understand," I said. "Are you sure you want to take on this much debt at your age?" I looked at him. "It's for my daughter's medical school." He nodded slowly. "Okay, let me see what I can do." I walked out of that bank having signed papers that would put me $160,000 in debt. The interest rate was 8%. I called Rachel that night. "Dad, are you sure?" she asked. "That's a lot of money." "I'm sure," I said. "You're going to be a doctor. You're going to help people. This is what we do for family." "I love you, Dad." "I love you too, sweetheart." That was one of the last times she said that to me. Medical school was brutal for her, but she thrived. She called less and less. When she did call, it was usually because she needed something. Money for a medical conference, money for study materials, money for interview suits when residency applications started. I sent it all. I picked up more weekend work. I stopped eating out entirely. I started buying the generic brand of everything. My apartment's heat stayed at 62 degrees all winter because I couldn't afford higher. But Rachel, my Rachel, was going to be a doctor. She matched for her residency at Massachusetts General in Boston. Cardiology. She was 26 years old and already on track to become one of the best in her field. I drove cross-country to help her move into her apartment in Boston. 2,800 miles. I took a week off work, which meant no pay, but I wanted to help her settle in. Her apartment was in a nice building in Cambridge. 1 bedroom, hardwood floors, a doorman. The rent was $2,800 a month. "Can you afford this on a resident's salary?" I asked, helping carry boxes up from my truck. "I have a roommate," she said. "Well, not yet, but I will." She didn't get a roommate. Later, I found out she was paying the full rent herself, supplemented by money I was sending her for living expenses. I spent 3 days helping her unpack, building furniture, getting her settled. Then I drove 2,800 miles back to Tacoma, stopped at a drive-thru for a $5 meal, and went straight to a night job fixing the electrical system in a restaurant that had failed inspection. I was 58 years old. My back hurt. My hands were scarred from years of electrical work, the fingernails permanently stained no matter how much I scrubbed. I looked at those hands a lot in those days. Working hands, honest hands. Hands that had signed loan documents and written checks and wired money so my daughter could become something I never could be. Then she met Marcus. She mentioned him casually during one of our phone calls. "There's this guy," she said. "Marcus Ashford. He's in his family's business. Tech investments. He's really nice, Dad." "That's great, sweetheart," I said. "I'm happy for you." "Maybe you can meet him sometime," she said. That was October. By December they were serious. By March, she posted a photo on Facebook of them together, at some charity gala. She was wearing a dress that probably cost more than my monthly rent. He was in a tuxedo, smiling that confident smile that people with money wear. I commented on the photo. "You look beautiful, honey. So proud of you." She liked the comment, didn't reply. In June, she called me. It was the first time she'd called me, rather than me calling her, in almost 4 months. "Dad," she said, and her voice had that excited pitch it used to have when she was little. "Marcus proposed." "That's wonderful," I said, and I meant it. "Congratulations, sweetheart. When do I get to meet him?" "Soon," she said. "We're planning the engagement party. It'll be in Seattle, at his parents' house. They have this beautiful estate on Mercer Island. You'll love them." The engagement party was 2 months later. I drove to Seattle on a Saturday afternoon, wearing my suit. The same one. I'd had it dry cleaned. The Ashford estate was the kind of place you see in magazines. Gated entrance, circular driveway, modern architecture with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Lake Washington. There were at least 80 people there. Caterers in white uniforms carrying trays of champagne and hors d'oeuvres. A string quartet playing near the pool. I found Rachel inside, surrounded by well-dressed people. When she saw me, her smile flickered for just a second. Just a second, but I saw it. "Dad," she said, coming over, "you made it." "Of course I made it," I said. "Wouldn't miss it for the world." She hugged me quickly, then stepped back. "Let me introduce you to Marcus's parents." Richard and Barbara Ashford were exactly what you'd expect. Him in a blazer that probably cost more than my truck. Her in pearls and a designer dress. They shook my hand with the kind of limp grip that says they'd rather not be touching you. "So you're Rachel's father," Richard said. "She's told us so much about you." I doubted that. "What do you do, Edward?" Barbara asked, her eyes flicking over my off-the-rack suit. "I'm an electrician," I said. "Commercial and residential." "Oh," she said. "How?" "Practical." The conversation lasted maybe 90 seconds before they excused themselves to greet other guests. I spent the rest of the party at the edge of things. Rachel was busy with guests, with Marcus's friends, with people from his world. I stood by the dessert table, eating mini-tarts, watching my daughter in her expensive dress, laughing with people whose names I didn't know. When I said goodbye, she walked me to my truck. "Thanks for coming, Dad," she said. "Are you happy?" I asked. "So happy," she said. "Marcus is amazing. His family is amazing. I feel like I finally found where I belong." Where she belonged. Not with me, apparently. The wedding was 6 months later, also in Seattle, at a hotel that charges $800 a night for a standard room. I wasn't involved in the planning. Rachel would occasionally call with updates. "We're doing orchids. The band is this great jazz ensemble. The cake is 7 tiers. Do you need help paying for anything?" I asked once. "Oh no, Dad," she said quickly. "Marcus's parents are handling most of it. We want you to just relax and enjoy it." What she meant was, "We don't need your money. We don't want your money. This isn't your world." I got my invitation in the mail. Formal, engraved, beautiful. My name was listed alone, not Mr. Edward Bennett and guest, just Mr. Edward Bennett. The wedding was on a Saturday in April. I sat in the 4th row. Rachel had told me I'd be in the front row, but the day before the wedding, she called and said there'd been a mix-up with the seating chart, and would I mind sitting a little further back. Marcus's extended family needed the front rows. I said I didn't mind. I watched my daughter walk down that aisle on Richard Ashford's arm. Not mine. Richard's. Because he's been like a father to me these past 2 years, Rachel had explained when she told me. I sat in that 4th row, in my same suit, and I watched my little girl get married, the girl I'd raised alone, the girl whose hand I'd held through her mother's funeral, the girl whose college and medical school I'd paid for with money I didn't have. And I wasn't the one walking her down the aisle. After the ceremony, during the reception, I found my seat at table 12, not the head table, not the family table. Table 12, with some of Marcus's distant relatives who spent the dinner talking around me. Rachel and Marcus did their first dance. Then the father-daughter dance. Richard danced with her. I watched from table 12. When the dancing opened up, I approached Rachel. "Could I have one dance?" I asked. "With my daughter?" She looked uncomfortable. "Dad, I'm so tired. These heels are killing me. Maybe later?" There was no later. By the time I worked up the courage to ask again, she was surrounded by friends, then cutting the cake, then doing the bouquet toss. I left the reception around 9. No one noticed. I drove back to Tacoma in the dark, my hands tight on the steering wheel, trying to understand what had happened. When had I lost her? Was it medical school? Was it Marcus? Was it the Ashfords with their money and their estate, and their ability to give her things I never could? Or was it me? Was I the embarrassment she'd been trying to escape her whole life? Over the next year, I barely heard from her. She and Marcus bought a house in Seattle's Madison Park neighborhood. $2 million. I saw it on her Facebook page. She posted photos of the renovation, the designer furniture, the view. I commented sometimes. "Beautiful. So happy for you." She'd like the comments. Sometimes. Rachel finished her residency, and decided to open her own private practice. Cardiology for high-end clients. Concierge medicine. She'd handle a small number of patients, charge premium fees, provide personalized care. She called me one evening. It was the first time she'd called in 3 months. "Dad," she said, "I need to talk to you about something." "Of course," I said. "What is it?" "I'm opening my practice," she said. "It's going to be amazing, but the startup costs are significant. Office lease, equipment, staff, insurance, marketing. I've been meeting with banks, but they want collateral I don't have yet." My heart sank. I knew where this was going. "How much do you need?" I asked. $150,000, she said. "I know it's a lot. But Dad, this is my dream, my own practice. I'll pay you back once the practice is profitable, probably within 2 years." I was 62 years old. I still owed $70,000 on the student loans I'd taken for her medical school. I had maybe $30,000 in my retirement account. I was supposed to retire in 3 years. "Let me see what I can do," I said. I went back to the bank. Different loan officer this time. An older woman who looked at my application with something like pity. "Mr. Bennett," she said, "you're already carrying significant debt. Your age, taking on this much more debt, it's risky. What if you can't work?" "It's for my daughter's medical practice," I said. She sighed. "Do you have collateral?" "My truck," I said. "It's paid off. It's worth maybe $12,000. We worked it out, a combination of loans, including one secured by my truck. The interest rates were brutal, but I walked out having arranged for $130,000. I pulled the remaining $20,000 from my retirement account, taking the penalty hit. I wired Rachel the money, all $150,000. "Dad," she said when she called to confirm receipt, "I don't know how to thank you. This means everything. I'll pay you back, I promise." "I know you will, sweetheart," I said. "I'm proud of you." "I love you, Dad." "I love you too." The practice opened 6 months later. She posted photos on Facebook. Sleek office in downtown Seattle, modern equipment, professional staff. It looked incredible. I commented, "So proud of you." She liked the comment. I waited for the repayment to start. She'd said 2 years. After 18 months, I gently brought it up during a phone call. "Oh, Dad," she said, "the practice is doing well, but you know how it is with startups. Cash flow is tight. Give me another year." "Okay," I said. "No pressure, just checking." That was the last time I brought it up, because deep down I think I already knew. I wasn't getting that money back. I turned 65. Mandatory retirement age for my company's insurance policy on electricians. They offered me a desk job, scheduling and dispatch, for half my previous salary. I took it. I needed the income. Rachel didn't call on my birthday. She texted, "Happy birthday, Dad. Sorry I've been so busy. We should get together soon." We didn't get together. I saw her posts on Facebook. Vacation in Tuscany. Weekend in Napa. Charity gala where she wore a dress that probably cost $5,000. Her practice was clearly doing well. Last month I got an email from my former neighbor in Tacoma, Linda, who I'd stayed in touch with. "Did you see this?" she wrote with a link. It was the American Medical Journal article. 30 under 40. The Rising Stars of American Medicine. I clicked on Rachel's profile. There she was, my daughter, in her white coat, stethoscope around her neck, standing in front of her practice. The practice I'd funded. Behind her, Marcus and his parents, all smiling. I read the interview slowly. She talked about her journey, the challenges of medical school, the rigors of residency, the leap of faith in opening her own practice. "I couldn't have done any of this without my support system," she said in the interview. "My husband Marcus has been my rock. His family, the Ashfords, have shown me what it means to have people believe in you unconditionally. They never doubted me, even when the path seemed impossible. They gave me the foundation to succeed and showed me what true family support looks like. I'm forever grateful." I read it 3 times. Then I opened my filing cabinet. I pulled out every document, every loan agreement I'd signed, every wire transfer confirmation, every check I'd written, every bank statement showing the interest payments I'd been making for years. Medical school loans, $160,000, still owe $70,000. Practice startup, $150,000. Living expenses during residency and medical school, approximately $45,000 over 6 years. Undergraduate loans, $48,000 paid off. Miscellaneous support, approximately $30,000. Total, approximately $433,000 given or borrowed on her behalf. Currently still owed, $220,000 in active loans in my name, plus the $150,000 direct investment in her practice. I spread the documents across my small kitchen table. Then I took photos of every single page. Monday morning, I called a lawyer. His name was James Chen. I'd rewired his house 4 years ago. He remembered me. "Edward," he said, "what can I do for you?" I told him everything. I sent him the documents. He was quiet for a long moment after I finished. "Do you have anything in writing?" he asked. "About the practice investment? Did she sign a promissory note?" "No," I said. "She's my daughter. I trusted her." "I understand," he said. "But Edward, without a written agreement, this becomes a gift in the eyes of the law. It's going to be hard to force repayment." "She promised," I said. "I have texts. I have the wire transfer. I have her voicemail thanking me and saying she'd pay me back." "That might be enough," he said. "It's what we call an oral contract, evidenced by the texts and voicemail. It's not ideal, but it's something. Let me draft a demand letter." The demand letter went out Tuesday afternoon. Formal, legal, clear. It outlined the $150,000 investment in her practice, referenced her promises to repay, and demanded full repayment within 30 days, or we would file a civil claim. Rachel called me Wednesday evening. She was crying. "Dad, what the hell?" she said. "You're suing me? Your own daughter?" "I'm asking for repayment of money you promised to repay," I said, and my voice was steady, steadier than I expected. "I can't believe you're doing this," she said. "After everything, you're going to humiliate me like this? Do you know what this looks like? I just got named to a prestigious list, and now my own father is suing me?" "Rachel," I said, "I'm 65 years old. I have $70,000 still owed on loans I took for your education. I have almost nothing in retirement. I'm working a desk job for half my previous salary because I'm too old to climb ladders anymore. And you just bought a $2 million house. You vacation in Italy. You wear dresses that cost more than my monthly rent." "That's not fair," she said. Marcus's family, I interrupted. "The family you thanked in that article. The family who gave you the foundation to succeed. The family who showed you what true family support looks like. What foundation did I give you, Rachel? What support did I provide?" She was silent. "I read the article," I said. "Every word. I wasn't mentioned once. Not once. After 33 years of raising you alone, after $400,000 I gave or borrowed for you, after every sacrifice I made, I wasn't worth one sentence. But Richard and Barbara, they're in the photo. They're in your quote. They're your family now. Dad, You promised you'd pay me back," I said. "That's all this is. I'm holding you to your promise. 30 days. She hung up. She didn't call back. 2 weeks later, her lawyer contacted James. They wanted to negotiate. They offered $25,000 as a goodwill payment in exchange for my signing a document stating I'd never make any further claims. James called me with the offer. "What do you think?" he asked. I thought about it for about 5 seconds. "No," I said. $150,000, or we file." We filed. The civil claim became public record. The local legal blog that covers interesting cases picked it up. Prominent Seattle cardiologist sued by father for $150K practice loan. Rachel's lawyer tried everything. They claimed it was a gift. They claimed there was no documentation. They claimed I was doing this out of spite. But I had the texts. I had the voicemail. I had the wire transfer with the memo line. Practice startup loan. Rachel's lawyer had written that memo at my banker's instruction, and Rachel had never corrected it. We went to mediation. I sat across the table from my daughter for the first time in a year. She looked older, tired. She wouldn't meet my eyes. Her lawyer did most of the talking. They offered $50,000, then $75,000, then $90,000, $150,000, I said each time. That's what she borrowed. That's what she promised to repay. Finally, Rachel spoke. "Dad," she said, and her voice cracked. "Please, this is destroying my reputation. Patients are asking questions. The Ashfords are furious. Marcus is. We're having problems because of this. Please, I looked at my daughter, my little girl, the girl I'd raised alone, worked 3 jobs for, sacrificed my entire life for. You destroyed something too, I said quietly. You destroyed the idea I had that family meant something. That sacrifice meant something. That I meant something to you. You do mean something, she started. No, I said. I don't. I read what I mean to you. It was in that article. It was in your wedding. It was in every phone call you didn't make, every birthday you forgot, every time you took my money and gave me nothing back except being erased from your success story. The mediation ended without agreement. We were headed to trial. The week before trial, Rachel's lawyer called with a final offer, $150,000, paid in full within 90 days. In exchange, I would sign a non-disclosure agreement about the settlement terms. I sat in James's office, looking at the settlement agreement. It's what you wanted, James said. Full repayment. Will she try to have a relationship with me after this? I asked. James looked at me with kind eyes. Probably not, Edward. I'm sorry. Then it doesn't matter, I said. She was already gone. I signed. The money came through in 2 payments. $75,000 in 30 days. Another $75,000 60 days after that. I used the first payment to pay off the remaining student loans, $70,000. After 15 years of monthly payments, watching the balance barely move because of the interest, I paid it off. I logged into the bank website and saw the balance, $0. I sat at my computer and cried. The second payment I split. Half went into a retirement account. The other half I spent on myself. I bought a newer truck. Not new, but newer. One that didn't rattle when I drove over 40 miles per hour. I booked a trip, 2 weeks in Ireland. I'd always wanted to go. Claire and I used to talk about it before she got sick. I went to Ireland by myself. I stayed in small bed and breakfasts. I drove the coast road. I drank Guinness in pubs and talked to strangers who didn't know me, didn't know my story, didn't look at me with pity. One evening, in a pub in Galway, an older couple asked if they could join me at my table. It was crowded. Of course, I said. We started talking. They were from Dublin, celebrating their 40th anniversary. Do you have family? The woman asked me. I have a daughter, I said. She's a doctor. You must be proud, she said. I am, I said, and in that moment I meant it. Not proud of her as the person she'd become, but proud of the idea of her, the little girl who'd survived her mother's death. The teenager who'd studied so hard, the young woman who'd achieved her dream. I just wasn't part of that dream anymore. I came back from Ireland different. Lighter, somehow. I'm 66 now. I work my desk job 3 days a week. I've started going to a senior center on Tuesdays for their lunch program. The food is decent, and the people are kind. I've made friends, real friends. People who include me, who call to check on me, who invite me to things. Last month, one of them, Margaret, asked if I'd like to go to a concert with her, some folk music group at the community theater. I'd love to, I said. We went. We had a wonderful time. Rachel hasn't contacted me since the settlement. I don't expect she will. Sometimes I look at her Facebook page. She's restricted my access, but I can still see her profile picture. She and Marcus smiling. Her practice is thriving, according to her public posts. I don't comment anymore. I don't like her posts. I'm not angry. Not anymore. Anger takes energy I don't have. I'm just free. Free from the weight of trying to be enough for someone who would never see me as enough. Free from the hope that someday she'd recognize what I'd done for her. Free from the fantasy that we'd have the relationship I'd always dreamed of. She has her life. Her successful practice, her wealthy husband, her beautiful house, her new family. And I have mine. Smaller, simpler, but mine. Last week, I took the last document out of my filing cabinet. The wire transfer confirmation for the practice loan. I'd kept it all these years, even after the settlement. I shredded it. Then I took all the other documents, all the loan statements and payment receipts and everything else, and I shredded those too. I don't need them anymore. Because I'm not Rachel's father anymore. Not in any way that matters. I'm just Edward Bennett, 66 years old, retired electrician, living in a small apartment in Tacoma, planning a trip to Scotland next spring, having Tuesday lunches with friends who actually want me there. And that, I've learned, is enough. Sometimes I wonder if Rachel ever thinks about me, if she ever looks at that medical journal article and feels even a flicker of regret about what she said, about what she didn't say. But then I remember, it doesn't matter, because I know my truth. I know what I gave, what I sacrificed, what I built, and I know I survived losing her. That's enough.